Hi guys, this is the Shroom Carlos. So in today's video, I'm gonna give you my review of episode 3 of X-Men 97, season 1, the return, the return of the mutant vampire king, and the dark queen, the dark elf mutant queen. So here we go, guys. So just like where I left you in my in my review of episode 2 of X-Men 97 season 1, or season 6 if you want to get more specific. The last time I left you with a major cliffhanger where Morph opened the door because there was somebody at the door of the X Mansion, and it was Jean saying I need the help of the X-Men, and that's where we left off. But here we go, fully into episode 3. Apparently, obviously, everyone, including Cyclops himself, is totally confused and absolutely confused out of his cyclopic mind, out of his visor, just like everyone else. Rogue is confused. Wolverine is confused. Magneto is confused, and everyone in general is confused. Well, this Jean said that the new Jean that just walked into the X Mansion says that she is the real Jean, and the current Jean that we have been seeing for the past 2 episodes is actually a clone. It's actually a clone of her, and the real Jean, the one that again knocked on the man on the expansion door, knocked the expansion door, at the expansion door, says that she was cloned by Mr. Sinister, or in Spanish, el señor siniestro. Now, if you guys think back in the original X-Men series, there was a mutant called Mr. Sinister that looked like a mutated version, a mutated version of Dracula, and he wanted Jean and Cyclops to be his genetic prisoners in his twisted marooned private island filled of mutants that were following his orders. And Mr. Sinister's goal was to have the future offspring or future child of Jean and Cyclops to have the genetic mutant powers of Jean's and Cyclops' sons under his watchful eye and power in the original series. And this is exactly the reverse way. Apparently, the real Jean, according to her, had been trapped, had been stuck in a cylinder in an undisclosed at an undisclosed location, trapped in a cylinder at an undisclosed location, and she was captured, or she was held by Mr. Sinister himself. And that the current Jean that Cyclops and all the other X-Men, including their new leader, their new main leader, Magneto, have been interacting with for the past 2 episodes, was actually her clone. Yes, I said it, guys. Her clone. So as you can imagine, everyone was thrown a big confusion bomb. Then it gets more complicated than that. Then after hearing this, the clone gene says to Cyclops, and says to the rest of the team, this can't be. I'm not a clone of this so-called me. So-called who says to be me. I'm not a clone. You guys, meaning the whole team, plus Cyclops, know me, and have you seen any clone characteristics within me, or outside of me, or within me? No. But then she turns to Cyclops more in a specific way. She turns to Cyclops in a specific way, not like turn her head, and she says, and the clone genes, or at this point, Cyclops doesn't know what to believe, and he said, and the clone gene at this point, the clone gene says, don't believe this other gene. I'm the real gene. I'm your real gene. The gene that you love. And Cyclops, again, just like everyone else, is confused, but he's more confused than everyone else. He's a different level. He's at a different level of confusion, and he turns to his gene and says, I don't know what I don't know what to believe. And then it gets a little bit disturbing from that point on, because after hearing all after hearing after basically seeing that the team has turned on the clone gene, the clone gene, or the current gene says she feels like she's being stared at with eyes of oh my god, she's not the real Jean. This is the new one that claims to be the new Jean is the actual Jean. So she could be, so the clone Jean, the current Jean that we've been interacting with has been a sabotage Gene. And therefore the clone Gene at this point everyone in the team could see that the new Gene, the new Gene that just came into the expansion doors is the actual Gene. Meanwhile, everyone else is again totally confused, and the clone Gene at this point, the team has established that the new Gene is the actual Gene, and that the current Gene that they've been interacting with is the clone Gene, and now everyone is like questioning themselves. Who have we been living with? And therefore, the current Gene can see that they're looking, the rest of the entire team is looking at her with eyes of distrust and deceit. And what does the current Gene / clone Gene do? She does what the new Gene, the actual Gene would do, perhaps, maybe, find some solitude, some consolement in Nathan, in her new born baby, Nathan Charles Xavier Scott Summers. But as she's finding, as the clone Gene, and the current / clone Gene is trying to find comfort in her newborn baby, newborn baby Nathan. She in her bedroom where she shares with her husband Cyclops, she hears the voice of Mr. Sinister, and then Mr. Sinister, with his soothing soothing and malevolent and evil, seductive voice says, Gene, give me your, let me take over. Meaning, let me transfer my spirit. Let me transfer my spirit, or let's see. How would I say this? Let me transfer myself within your body, and therefore and that way I can control you to do my evil errand / purposes towards your betraying family that is looking at you with betraying eyes, and at the same time let me have Nathan, because again, according to the original series, in one of the episodes that we saw Mr. Sinister, is that Nathan, or the genetic offspring of Cyclops and Jean would give Mr. Sinister, in this case Nathan, would give Mr. Sinister a type of mutant offspring that he could suck the mutations powers from the genetic offspring of Cyclops and Jean. In this case, newborn baby Nathan. And Currentine / Clone tried her best to fight off Mr. Sinister, but in the end, Mr. Sinister's soothing and malevolent and evil voice would basically turn Clone Jean into Jean Putty. Basically, she would surrender. She would be overcome, and her body would be overtaken by Mr. Sint. Basically, her body would be taken control of, would be taken over by Mr. Sinister. And man, when Mr. Sinister got inside, when he was able to control Clone Jean's actual body, man, Clone Jean basically her eyes glowed she felt a type of evil glow of green eye. Her eyes turned green, glowing lemon green. Or if you're a WWE fan, or if you're a WWE fan just like me, a DX green, and a DX green, and man, Clone Gene or Mr. Sinister in the body of Gene, he had tremendous power. Basically, the expansion was falling apart. It's been torn apart thanks to Mr. Sinister taking over Clone Gene's body, and at this point he has infected new baby Nathan with his mutated virus, which I'll get to here in a bit. But that's not all. With Mr. Sinister taking over Clone Gene's body, Clone Gene transformed. Mr. Sinister transformed Clone Gene into the dark queen of the dark elves, and as now newly transformed as the Queen of Darkness, the Dark Queen of elves. Jean was very powerful. And what I mean by very powerful, she basically split the expansion into two halves, and but then after splitting the expansion into two, Cyclops had to fight Clone Gene to keep baby Nathan safe. But at this point, poor Cyclops knew what to do, but he was still struggling with the fact that he was still struggling with the confusion with his level of confusion. And again, he doesn't know what to believe. So Cyclops fought Clone Gene to keep Nathan safe, but over the course of the fight, Clone Gene was able to defeat Cyclops in the match, and Clone Gene slash 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 or current gene slash clone gene taken over by Mr. Sinister taken over by Mr. Sinister was able to defeat Cyclops, and he was able to kidnap baby Nathan for quite a while in the episode. Meanwhile, Gambit had been manipulated by Mr. Sinister himself, and had seen or was imagining Rogue being romantic with Magneto, being romantic with Magneto, and that drove Gambit a little bit crazy, and he was acting a little bit not himself, not his sarcastic self. So that drove Gambit a little bit out of his mind. Then after regrouping a group, or I think a four X-Men group, a team of 4 X-Men group was gathered by Magneto to fight clone gene / controlled by Mr. Sinister himself, and to fight her, and to recapture, to regain custody of baby Nathan. And their team consisted of course, Magneto himself, Cyclops, of course, the father, Wolverine, Rogue, and I think Gambit. I think it was a team of 5. Meanwhile, the rest of the X-Men with Beast, Rick, and Ricardo and Jubilee stayed at the mansion to fix and clean up the mess that Mr. Sinister / Clone Gene had left at the mansion. And so when it came down to it, when the team arrived at Mr. Sinister's hiding place / castle headquarters, they confronted Jean, and a battle ensued. which eventually, the team led by Magneto, won. But by the time the team had won, the Mr. Sinister's virus had been spreading inside and outward of little baby Nathan. So after Clone regained control of herself, Cyclops, and this is interesting, guys. The only weakness that Mr. Sinister has regarding his powers is the only way that he can be stopped is by Cyclops himself, by using his visor, his mutated powers. And that's the only way that I don't know what makes Cyclops what makes Mr. Sinister so scared, or what makes Cyclops rays so powerful towards Mr. Sinister. So after defeating Mr. Sinister himself outside of Jean's body at this time, or outside of the control, outside of Jean's body, and without control of Clone Jean's body, Cyclops and Magneto and the rest of the five-man team of the five-man team were able to defeat Mr. Sinister, and they were able to Clone Jean was able to regain control of herself. To regain control of herself. And that was that. But we're forgetting one thing. Nathan, little baby Nathan, still has this mutated virus. That Mr. Sinister had basically transferred into little baby Nathan's body, and the only way to keep little baby Nathan safe and back to normal was for little baby Nathan to travel into the future to travel into the future and to find a cure. And the only X-Men that could and that can travel into the future is, of course, our good old friend from the original series, and new new X-Men in X-Men 97, our good old friend Bishop. So with a heavy heart, clone gene, with a heavy heart, clone gene, and clone gene, clone gene had to give up, had to give Bishop her baby to Bishop, and so Bishop and little baby Nathan traveled into the future. Meanwhile, back inside the mansion, or outside the mansion, the real Gene is has forgotten a big part of her life, because again she was trapped, or being captive inside a cylinder by Mr. Sinister himself, and she spent quite a while inside that cylinder, and she needs to regain time. She needs to regain time, but she doesn't remember her memories with the team, but to be more specific, to be more accurate, and to be more specifically sad for Cyclops, her memories with Cyclops, and at this point, Cyclops is still fighting his confusion within himself. So at the end of the episode, in the end, Clone Gene says to Actual Gene, it's time for me to go, and don't call me Gene. Call me by a different name. Now guys, sorry if I can't remember Clone Gene's new name, but you can check me on that. But that's how the episode. That's how it ends. So with that being said, guys, let me know. Leave a like. With that being said, guys, leave a like and let me know. And let me know what parts of this episode 3 did you like. And if you were Cyclops, what would you do? What would you do if you were to see two genes? Two genes, and which one would you believe? Would you believe Clone Gene saying that she's the real Gene? Or would you believe the other, or would you believe the new Gene that is calling herself the real, that is calling herself the actual Gene? What would you do? Who would you believe? So with that being said, thank you guys, and remember to leave a like, and see you guys later. Bye!